So I'm going to talk about this GDB-like debugger. So let's, and for lack of time, it's really just a bunch of video. So here's help. Is that going to work? Is that going to work? Okay. So this is just basic help in this debugger. So notice that we colorize things here. I think I'm going to try to show. Oh, right. It's set for dark background. So there's tab completion in this thing. So we can say set highlight, light background. Okay. And presumably that changed it. I don't know. Doesn't look like it to me, but. And you can get highlight, you can get help on these things, and there's tab completion and all this stuff. And so this is really, I think this is all done in ProPod. I'm pretty sure it's done in ProPod. Okay, cat, blah, blah, blah. And so the reason the highlight was off was I actually have a profile here. So one of the things you can do to customize it is so that file is your default profile, and I set that, so I'm in the wrong thing here. I think that's it for this. What else? What? So now how do I go on to the next slide? This one here. Smart eval. Okay. So I actually wanted to try to show things. I can't. Oh. That's so I have to come over here. Okay, and then I have to what? Unminimize this. How do I unminimize this thing down there? It's not clicking. How about escape? Escape works. Escape works. Okay, and smart eval. Okay. Well, okay. Can I leave it unminimized or should I maximize it? Maximize it? Okay. So if you bear with me. Okay. I mean, well, I can sneak up on it? Okay, good. So now I'm doing dark because that's what it wants. There's this command called set auto list. I think the Perl 5 debugger now does this by default, but here you can turn it. Then they got it from this debugger, I'm guessing, because we've had this for a long time. And so I'm showing a eval here, and what I'm trying to say is, okay, let's go back a bit. Let's go back. I have plenty of time. What? Is what? What does that do? Oh, that's pause. Thank you. Okay, so here we have this thing, and evaluating this is actually going to set var, and so here I'm just showing that var is undefined. Okay, and here's the st of step, and then you'll see that it gets defined. So spacebar. Spacebar. Whatever, spacebar. Oh, that's spacebar in the wrong. So you can see why a guy like me needs a debugger. What? Click on it. Can I interest you in smart? Oh, okay, cool. But you know, I hate playing this game here of hitting the. Okay, so now we're gonna step. We stepped. Spacebar. And I guess what I'm showing here is anytime you evaluate something, there's this global variable called DB, that thing, that gets saved. And you can actually use that in computations. I recently noticed that in the old days you could go into a shell, and those variables would also be accessible in the shell. I noticed that's broken since the last time I looked at it, so I'm sorry about it. But this still works. And so I guess I'm just going to start using that. Am I not clicking on it? What? Okay, so let's click on it. No. Does somebody want to volunteer to navigate? What? Thank you. Thank you.
I'll try that. So, anyone else want to volunteer?
It may have to do with that this thing is on a different level. No, they're not mirrored. Okay, let's mirror. Why don't you set it to mirror? We'll work that way. Well, okay, but let's go back. I don't think we finished with the previous one. So okay, how do I? Do you know how to mirror this?
I have not.
We'll go with the mirror thing. You no clue either.
No, sorry.
Okay, thanks. Well, this is good because I don't really have much to say. Anybody have any? What do you want to know about Devel Trepan?
Okay, so where do I get it? Let's start with simple.
CPAN Devel : Trepan.
Okay, and how do I run it?
So there's actually there are about 3 different ways that you can run it.
Okay.
I'm running it from the outset with trepan.pl as the command line thing. Okay. Actually, underneath it's doing the same thing that Perl 5DB is. So you could do it that way, but I don't recommend it. Why would you, do that? One thing here that's kind of cool is there's this thing called debugger. Are you familiar with that? Anybody here familiar with debugger? Okay, that allows you to add a statement. So a problem with debuggers in general is that they slow down the program.
Yeah.
But because these are dynamic languages, you can put a call. You can load in modules at runtime.
So you're saying like there's a way to say turn on the debugger here.
First load in the debugger and then call it here. So you can't get a Heisenbug because it doesn't exist until you actually load it, right? But you can put regular logic around it in order to narrow it to where there is a bug, and so using that and this is where if I had a lot more freedom to present it, you could write a signal handler. Okay. When you send it that signal. It then now loads the thing up and stops. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty slick. But the last I said there were 3 ways, and the last thing that you can do is we're there.
It's moving.
Okay. Thank you. So what am I doing now? Unfortunately, this is a sad thing. Is that what's going on here is okay. So I'm showing you the value of. I added. See, so you can change these variables, and then you can make use of those and take a look at it. And that's all I'm trying to show there. Is that and that's it? No, that's not it. Oh, okay. And so I want to show this eval. Recall that Perl has an array context and a scalar context. And so if the thing you're evaluating starts with an @ or a sharp hash sign, right? It adjusts what it's expecting in the evaluation. And so so here I'm showing that this was a hash, but when I add the @ sign in front of the hash name, I did here. Yeah, no, that's cool. Oh, so yeah, cool. I'll keep going. Right, so what's coming up? Oh, I see. You have to move off of it.
Keep the mouse off it, and then it'll just leave it there.
Yeah, but with me, well, okay. So, and what's going on here is now all this stuff will be online. I'll clean it up, so you don't have to really understand it. You can look at it later. I'm personally actually more interested in questions like this. If for those who've used it or those who want to know something about it, because that I'm less fumbly about. I wrote the code. Okay, I didn't write any of the software. Right, and so there's a form of eval without anything that will just take the source line and just say, okay, I'm just going to run that without stepping the code. Right, you can evaluate any expression, but why not evaluate the line that you happen to be on? Okay, there's a version of this that looks broken, that is broken, which is eval question mark, which is evaluate the expression context. And you can see with the last talk that I did, using hooking and deparsing, you can actually know what the expression is. So eval question mark is actually using just string manipulation to try to figure out what's in a canned way. But if you wanted more accurate, you could actually use the parse tree or the op tree and actually do that. And so that's what's going on there. So okay, so to review, and I actually before I review, when I stepped into the eval, the debugger actually created a temp file. It looked at the string and created a temp file with that. Okay, so so presumably I can go on my computer right now, find that file, and write it out and modify it and all that. And that I find very useful, in these things that build complicated things and you really don't know what's going on. You'd like to just run that. There's a problem in that, right? So you happen to step into it. It created a file, and then you can actually see what's going on. You can make breakpoints inside it. So to review, there is this eval command which will evaluate what it thinks, the line that you're currently on, and there's a variant of that with a question mark that handles expressions, right. So many times statements are destructive, right? So there's a question mark that's trying to narrow that to just expressions. It's buggy. And evaluating expressions. So there's a thing called auto eval on, which says that anything that's not a command treat as an expression, and I generally turn that on. However, sometimes that can mess you up because instead of an undefined, if you separated the two, you could give a better error message about how you messed up in the command. And here we're just going to assume that if you intended a command, but it really was, you could evaluate it. So because it was a little bit dangerous, we decided to make that a toggle. Actually, it was just I did this in Ruby beforehand. So that wasn't even my decision, but it was a good decision, I think. Okay, and so now, okay, so I just want to get to the next screen. Oh, escape. That one, okay, and so we do that. So I was saying that this debugger follows GDB conventions, so that all the effort that you spend learning this thing, GDB, that you have spent learning the GDB, should carry over to this, and if it doesn't, complain, and I'll fix it, and vice versa. So this, if you do help, this should look very similar to what all these commands here are very similar to what you would get when you run GDB. And what I'm going to do here is the part of the motivation for doing this is I recently used Jeffrey the Marpa R2 parser, and so this is actually a parser. that's parsing that understands those expressions. So what's his name? Jeffrey Kegler, Marpa R2, and he actually helped me with this. I'm grateful. So I really wanted to get a plugin for Jeffrey Kegler. He's a great guy. Right, and so the whole point of this thing was just to show that, I find this kind of funky syntax, but that's the funky GDB syntax. Actually, I noticed very late that I do a list 3, and there are 3 items. Set max list 3. There are 4 items here. Yeah, there are 4 items here, but there are 3 items here. I don't know if that matches GDB behavior. I would not be surprised if it does, but it should be fixed if it doesn't. Okay, and so now we get down to the cut the grass, the coup de grace. Okay, so and that. So now I'm going to tie in the previous stuff with this. You saw a little bit of the deparsing there. Okay. Oh, and so this is what you asked. This is what I was trying to. How do you get into it? Do that. Okay, but it doesn't work in Perl 5.28, and I'll talk about that later. And so yeah, now I'm using the deparse command, and you can actually get this disassembly of the stuff that I showed before inside the debugger, and you can see exactly what's going on. And just to, not just deparse. Now you get to see my great cut and paste abilities. Don't all ooh and ah. But what I'm trying to show here is that for any one of these instructions, if you want to know what's going on,
So you stopped at the alt with the arrow.
I'm sorry, what?
You stopped at the alt with the arrow.
Yep.
And then you're saying deparse to show me what that looks like.
Well, when I did deparse, so this address should match this address, does it? Yeah. Okay, but I just said, hey, I'm frivolous. I want to see what's going on there. Okay, and because I have this fancy deparser that will show me what's going on at any op, I can do that. Okay, so that okay, so these are other debuggers. This guy actually, who worked at Active State and wanted to have a common interface for that. It was a great idea. His implementation wasn't very good, so I think it just kind of dropped. I kind of picked that up. I needed more. I wanted more information. I started with that, and I wasn't too successful with it. If you're really interested in other debuggers, there's Tony Blumet's HDB, which runs as a REST service. Okay, which is pretty awesome, but he doesn't do Perl anymore either, so don't expect this to be fixed up in the near future. I would cut over to Devel Chitin, but I have the same problem as I have with DB. I would like to see this done as he uses as a REST service. I'd like to see it as a socket, as WebSockets. That's what V8 does, and all of those things. And that would be really cool, but Tony's not going to do that. And the links to everything. Right, so I've actually, as I said, there's an awesome blog called Blogs. Any questions? That's it. Go ahead. What's that? So I've written, okay, so I've written this for real good, for Emacs, and you saw a little bit of that, and it's not, the interface in Emacs is not just for Perl. It also works for Python and and all the other funky Bash, Corn Shell, GNU Make debugger. Did you know there was such a thing? Did you know there's a awk? There's a GNU awk debugger. So there's an interface that does all of that. I really would probably in that space I'll probably be cutting it over to use WebSockets, but that's not going to help this. But does that answer your question? Okay. And okay, cool. Great, Mike.
You said you had mentioned something about you said you latest Perl.
Debugger.
Yeah, not
Okay. This was on the Perl 5 porters list. What goes on is the way Debugger works. So in the previous slide, you saw next state. When you're actually debugging, it doesn't say next state; it says DB state, and that's how Perl knows to stop there. Okay. There's a bug in 528 that does more aggressive memory tracking or something like that. That the main program is thrown away. So recall, this thing is doing this after the fact. The main program is actually garbage collected away, or it's garbage. So if you use Debugger on 528, you'll get a segv. Okay, and nobody knows how to fix that right now. And the guy who works on Debugger doesn't work on Debugger anymore. So. Any other questions? Thank you for putting up with me. I get by with the help of a community. It takes a community, a village. Thank you.